Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to the Whyalla City Council's meeting today on the 24th of January 2022. We acknowledge that this meeting is held on Bungalow land and we give thanks for the use of this land. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to grant thy blessings upon the works of this council, to direct and prosper its deliberations to the advancement of this city and for the true and lasting welfare of the people of this municipality. I will now read the obituary notices for the last month, and I will ask, once I have completed that, for everyone to remain silent for 1 minute out of respect for those that we have lost. We would like to acknowledge Joseph Wilson, Grace Hay, Hazel Leslie, John Neal, Alan Hillman, Rhonda Beattie, June 7, Sondra Brighton, Lindsay Metcalf, Brian Graham, Anthony Atkinson, Aileen Brown, Peter Dunn, Jeanette Schultz, Edward Mildren, Rhonda McKay, Edwin Bone, Kenneth Schubert, Tony Bishop and George Janeka, Rita Rain, John Gibbons and Irene Andon. Thank you. Item 4, attendance records. Apologies, there are nil, and leave of absences, there are none. Item 5, declarations of members' conflict of interest. Do any councillors have any of conflicts of interest in regards to tonight's agenda? Could you please make that known? Right, thank you. There are none. Okay. I would like to now give a slight introduction as to the reasons why we're doing live streaming tonight. This is our first live stream for an ordinary council meeting, and we are very excited to provide yet another avenue to engage with the community in the work of the Whyalla City Council. Please note that this meeting is being recorded, and by remaining online you acknowledge that you're aware of and accept this as a condition of connecting to the meeting. And we will be mirroring our normal meeting procedures. Therefore, when council moves into a confidential portion of the meeting, you would have been asked to leave the meeting prior to the confidential section commencing. And in a virtual meeting, council members will join a breakout room to discuss any confidential matters. Council administrators will assist all guests to exit the meeting when and if required. And as per government meeting regulations, members of the gallery are not permitted to speak at a council meeting, so your cameras and microphones have been disabled. And once again, just thank you all for joining this meeting, and we just hope that you'll be patient with us tonight if there's any technical challenges that may arise during the evening. Thank you. Item 6.1, minutes of the previous meeting. There's a recommendation there. Would someone like to remove that recommendation? Thank you. Councillor Westerman, thank you. And seconded, Councillor Simpson, thank you. As there's no discussions or debate, I'll ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. Item 7, deputations and presentations. We have nil this evening. Item 8, petitions. There are also nil. Item 9, matters adjourned. There is just the one item, 9.1, the resubmission of the report, the former Whitech building. Okay, item 10 is public question times, and we do have a question from a member of the public, which I will read the question and also the answer. 10.1, this is from Mr. Sandone, who is a resident. Dogs on the beach. The question is, why are dogs off lead but under control, banned 24/7 on the major part of the beach? Nearly all seaside towns allow dogs off lead from after sunset from 8:30 to 9 a.m, excluding Tumbie Bay and Port Lincoln, and just about all of the York and Eyre Peninsula towns. Couldn't we allow dogs from sunset or 9 p.m. until 7:30 a.m? There's literally no one else on the beach then. Thank you for your question of whether dogs should be permitted off leash on the full length of the Whyalla foreshore before a set time in the morning and after a set time in the evening. Council considered this proposal in March 2018 and made a decision to restrict dogs off lead to a specified part of the foreshore because the community expressed concern at having dogs off lead in high use public spaces. The feedback indicated that people were concerned about the increasing number of dog attacks and aggression within the community more widely, as was indicated in a report from the Dog and Cat Management Board in 2017. The uncertain outcome of having larger and smaller dogs mixing off-leash in public spaces and the potential for dog feces to contaminate the foreshore and the beach. A report on the question of dog off-leash areas is again before Council for consideration at tonight's meeting. Refer to agenda item 13.2.5. The recommendation within the report is to retain the status quo in relation to off-leash areas based on the early consultation process. However, it's open to Council to amend that recommendation or to decide to undertake further consultation if the meeting resolves to do so. So thank you for your question, and obviously there will be more conversation and debate around that agenda item, which will be up later in the meeting. Okay. Right, item 11, elected members' activities. They will be up on the screen for viewing, and I welcome any elected members if they'd like to make any comment around any of the activities that they have attended in the last, since the last council meeting. Just raise your hand if you'd like to make any mention. Thank you. Okay, thank you. As they run through, take that as read, and thank you for that. Item 12, committee reports. There are nil. Item 13, council officers' reports. 13.1.1, which is the virtual council meeting live streaming, which is recommended on page 20. The recommendation is there. Notes that the CEO's authority and decision to appoint a different place at which council meetings will be held, now being virtual meetings for the foreseeable future as a result of the public health emergency of COVID-19 to manage and balance the risk of hosting public gatherings. And number 2, that because of holding virtual council meetings, live streaming of council meetings will be introduced, therefore ensuring continued access to council meetings by members of the public and transparency of decision making. Right, so we have a recommendation there. Is Councillor Marshall, would you like to move that?
Councillor Knox had his hand up first.
Thank you. So Councillor Knox, would you like to move that recommendation?
I certainly will.
Thank you. And Councillor Marshall, you are seconding that recommendation?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. As there's no discussion or debate, I'll ask for a show of hands to move that. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. That's carried. Okay, so now we go to thank you. Item 13.1.2, the Local Government Association ordinary general business, proposed items of business. Thank you. The recommendation is there on the page. I'll take that as read. Would someone like to move that recommendation? Thank you. Thank you. That was Councillor Simpson. Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Knox. Thank you. I'd like to thank the work that's gone into this particular report. Thank you. And I'd like, as there's no discussion or debate, a show of hands, all those in favour. Thank you, councillors. That's carried. Okay, we're going now to page 30, 13.1.3. 2022 National General Assembly call for motions. So it is just a recommendation for elected members to forward proposed notices of motions for consideration for the 2022 National General Assembly agenda to the CEO by close of business Friday the 11th, 2022. So Councillor Marshall, would you like to move that recommendation? Thank you. And Councillor Pond to second that? Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor. Right, so I will ask for those to be put forward to the CEO. So I'll ask for a show of hands to move that. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. That's carried. Okay. So now we move forward to page 65, 13.1.4. The Joy Baluch Award for 2021 nominations. The recommendation obviously is the council receive and note the award nominations report. Thank you. So I'd ask for a councillor to move that recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Westerman. And second to Councillor Simpson. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll look for those nominations to be put forward. So I'll ask for a show of hands. All those in favour, councillor. Thank you. It's carried. Thank you. Okay, so now we go to page 70, thank you. 13.1.5, the Jim Hullock Award. Similar type of recommendation that the council review and note the Jim Hullock Award report. Is there any questions about this particular recommendation, councillors? No? Thank you. So I'll ask for a mover. Thank you for that. Councillor Knox, thank you. Seconded Councillor Stupos. Thank you. No discussions or debate. Ask for a call of hands. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Oh, excuse me, Councillor Stupos, did you have a question? You're on mute, so if you can just come off mute.
I was trying to get my emoji hand off.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. No, it's all, we're getting through those technical challenges. Thank you very much for that. Okay, page 73, 13.1.6, CEO's action report. Justin, did you want to speak to your report at all?
Yes, if I may, Mayor, just very briefly. The action item report provides an update in terms of the progress of a number of items previously resolved by council. A number of them are work in progress, but I did want to just call out a couple to highlight. In relation to Clean Seas, there is an item on the agenda later tonight, so we'll be providing an update regarding Clean Seas later in the agenda. In relation to the modular pods, work is progressing in terms of the development application for the pods and also an associated lease. In relation to the Whyalla Airport works, council was aware that there were some matters that we needed to attend to in relation to the fire service, and we had discussed at the elected member briefing the need to make further investment in the fire hydrant and water system at the airport. we are undertaking some further due diligence regarding the most cost-effective way of addressing some of the ageing infrastructure there. Councillors may have anticipated a report on tonight's agenda, but just to let you know that that's a report that's still in the making as part of the due diligence process. And lastly, there was an outstanding item regarding a number of matters, including the jetty, Maritime Museum and Bennett Oval, and just want to confirm that there is an item on the agenda tonight in relation to additional seats on the jetty. As requested, reports been provided in relation to that matter, and the work is progressing in terms of the DDA disability access audit on a number of council's facilities, which will also come back to council in due course. So in short, everything's being progressed, and happy to take any questions, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So we have the recommendation there.
Got a question.
Oh, sorry, question. Sorry, councillors.
Yep.
Mayor, sorry. Go.
Whyalla Energy. How long do we just sit and wait to hear back from them as if they're genuinely interested? Is it perhaps not time that we completely sever relationships and look for a new partner? Because this has been going on for so long, and I've got no confidence in their actions in the past that they're serious. So what is the feeling of the future with Whyalla Energy?
Yeah, so we have followed it up, Councillor Stone. So we have been in touch with Sustainable Power Partners to get the lease attended to. So the proponents are looking at 2 development opportunities, and we need to close out one, and noting that they've got an interest in a second proposal for council's future consideration. So we're definitely not waiting. We have reached out to them, and we're looking to close that one out very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pond.
Yes, not so much a question, more of a comment. I did see the Bungalow Corporation wanting to have a meeting to finalise the naming sites of some of the camping sites that have been named. And I think it's a great opportunity to also talk about the naming of the landing. Great that you're sending out a letter, but that's not really an effective way to communicate with our nation's first people. But having a meeting where everyone can come together and have their say, I think this is actually going to be a more productive way of moving forward.
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor Pond, for that statement. Yes, we're aware that we do need to meet with the local elders. The formal process is that we need to write to their appointed agent in the first instance, which we've done. And I understand that movement is afoot to get that meeting set up to talk about the naming of those campsites, and we'll also take the opportunity to talk about the landing. So yeah, I'm confident that we'll get some good momentum with that item very shortly.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pond. Councillor Stupos.
With respect to the airport upgrade for the water, do we have to go through another due diligence process because the contract price is around the $1.92 million mark?
Yeah, so the due diligence that we're going through is to look at the design options that will deliver the desired outcome or the required outcome to meet MFS requirements. We have done some further review of the specifications of the necessary works to achieve the desired outcome, and we believe there could be an alternate way of achieving the outcome without the level of investment and the scope of works that we have discussed with council previously. So we're getting further input from relevant stakeholders, including our fire and building experts to inform the work. So it's not so much about the tender process, but confirming the scope of works that will deliver the outcome that we need.
So we don't need to send it to an independent body to confirm, like we have in previous projects?
Yeah, through the Fire and Building Control Committee, we are effectively getting independent expert advice being provided to council to inform what works are necessary, and we're having further conversations with the MFS as well, so that we clearly understand what the minimum requirements are that they need, and that the work that we put in place delivers what we need to deliver. Also, just adding to that, we, as part of our due diligence, for want of a better term, we also have had an independent quantity surveyor engaged to look at the costing of the work, so that we ensure that we're getting good value for money from ratepayers' investment in the infrastructure upgrades at that site.
Okay, thank you. Okay, right, so therefore there are no more questions. I'll ask for a move of the recommendation there in regards to noting and receiving the CEO's action report. I think Councillor Pond, thank you, move that, and seconded
Rick.
Councillor Santuzzi, thank you. Ask for a show of hands, all those in favour? Thank you, that is carried. We've got a late item now, 13.1.7. The Council's nomination for the Whyalla Hospital and Health Services Health Advisory Council. I'll ask the CEO just to give a brief comment around this. Thank you.
Yes, through the chair. Thank you, Mayor. We've been contacted by the Whyalla Hospital and Health Service Advisory Committee seeking a nomination for the local member on the advisory council that supports the operations of the local government, of the local health network. Council will recall that we previously had Councillor Santuzzi and the then Councillor Irene Adair nominated for that role. Since that time, Councillor Santuzzi's work commitments have increased, and also Councillor Adair is no longer a councillor, so it's appropriate time for council to re-nominate someone for that position, noting that it's the local health service network who will actually make the decision as to who's appointed. Given that we've got local government elections later this year, the recommendation in the report is that we put forward a councillor nominee, but also a staff member nominee, so that we can ensure continuity of information and communication between both the council and our community and the local health network. So, but ultimately that's for council to make a decision tonight as to who they want to put forward for that role.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Right, so Councillor Knox.
Madam Mayor, I've got a couple of questions. I believe it's pretty important council is represented on this committee, but I also think it's very important that we have somebody with good local knowledge. And the staff member, I don't know that person at all. I don't know how much knowledge they've got of the local health situation, issues within the community. But we do have somebody on staff that does have some experience in that area, and that's Anne Ryan, because Anne was on the board of the Eyre Peninsula Division of General Practice, which covers the whole of Eyre Peninsula. And she would have a wealth of knowledge in terms of health and issues within our community.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Knox. Any other councillors have any questions or comments? Okay, well, I would like to now ask if there's any councillors who would like to be nominated or nominate for this role. Councillor Knox? You're on mute, Councillor Knox.
I hit the hand by mistake.
Okay, so you're not nominating Councillor Knox? Okay, all right, I would like to ask other councillors if anyone would be able to nominate. It's an important role and we do need to have council representation, so I'd appreciate a nomination, please. Councillor Westerman?
Yep, I would like to nominate myself.
Thank you for that nomination, Councillor Westerman. Thank you. Councillor Pond?
That is actually exactly what I was going to say. I'd like to nominate Councillor Westerman
Excellent, that's great, thank you. Thank you. So as there are no other councillors willing to nominate, so we would, so we're going to ask for a mover for that recommendation for Councillor Westerman. Councillor Santucci would like to move that, and Councillor Pond to second that. And the staff member as well, to include Liz Byrne. Councillors are comfortable with that?
I've already indicated where I stand on that.
Yeah,
I believe we need somebody with local knowledge.
Thank you. So we've got a mover and a seconder for Councillor Westerman and also for Liz Byrne for a staff member. Okay, I'll ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? Yeah, apologies for that. Are the mover and the seconder happy with Liz Byrne as a council staff representative?
Yes, I am.
Yep.
Thank you.
Same here.
As I thought, thank you. So now I'll ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? Okay. Councillor Stone?
Well, I'm undecided based on the matter that's just been raised by Councillor Knox as to who is the person that should fit the bill.
Okay, so I'll just ask for a show of hands again in regards to that. If I can, so we have agreements with Councillor Santucci, Councillor Pond. Can you show your hands, please, councillors, so I can see them clearly? Councillor Westerman. No. Okay, so that has not gone through. Okay, thank you. Right. So would a councillor like to move another resolution in regards to this recommendation? Councillor Knox?
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to move the resolution as it is, replacing with Miss Liz Byrne with Anne Ryan.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Simpson? You're on mute, Councillor Simpson.
I was going to ask different questions. I'll get rid of my hand.
Thank you. Would someone like to support Councillor Knox's change there of recommendation?
Councillor Ryan is interested, is she? We've got to ask the question first.
Yes. I was wondering whether this needs to go back to the CEO to discuss with his admin.
I think what we need to do is to move a resolution where we have selected a councillor only at this point, and then we can further have conversations around an appropriate staff person.
Yeah.
Okay. Would someone like to perhaps the council would please change that that recommendation to reflect that? Thank you. So, Councillor Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Might I just make a suggestion that perhaps we have two councillors on there at this stage? I think some councillors are reluctant to put up their hands because of the fact we may not be standing. I'm happy to put up my hand to go on until such time as the end of the year, at which time perhaps someone like Liz Byrne will have a little bit more knowledge of the community, etc. So perhaps that could also be a possible solution to this.
Thank you. So, Councillor Knox, are you happy to move that change recommendation?
Most definitely.
Okay, thank you. So that Councillor Westerman and Marshall are nominations for the position of local government member on the Whyalla Hospital and Health Service Advisory Council. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you for that, councillors. Can I have a show of hands in regards to that?
It has to be a seconder.
Oh, sorry, seconder, sorry. So, sorry, I asked for a seconder for that. Apologies. Councillor Westerman? Yes, are you seconding that? Thank you. Okay, I ask now for a show of hands. All those in favour? Thank you. Now that's carried. It's challenging a little bit with all the technicalities. I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that was a good decision. Okay. Item 13.2.1, the monthly budget report. We ask the relevant officer to speak to that first. Grant, if you're able to give us an update on this particular report.
Yep, I'll take the report as read. Happy to answer any questions. The budget review for the second quarter will go to the audit committee in at the start of February and come to council at the February meeting. That'll have more detail.
Okay, I'll allow any questions from councillors before we move the recommendation. Any councillors have any questions in regards to this report? No. You're happy with what's been read? Thank you. Okay, I'll ask for a mover then. Thank you. Councillor Santuzzi, I believe, has moved that, and then Councillor Simpson seconded that. Oh, sorry, Councillor Simpson, sorry, and then Councillor Santuzzi seconded that. Thank you. Thank you. And ask for a show of hands, all those in favour. Okay, thank you, councillors, that's carried. Right, 13.2.2. The recommendation is here. It's in regards to the Qantas request for a passenger levy increase on page 99. The recommendation is there, but I will ask if there is any council officers that would like to speak to this first. Grant?
Yep. So council will recall that back in November, we did bring a report to council on a request from Qantas. That request was received via email, but was treated as a formal request, and council considered that and decided to keep the levy increase in place for 1st of January 2022. This request has come through from in a formal letter from the other person's superior, and actually takes the request further and actually considers that council look at the increase from both this year and the one from last year as well, noting that they, due to staff shortages, they hadn't actually really looked at the increase from last year during the last 12 months. So yes, happy to answer any questions on the report, but that's a bit more background.
Thank you, Councillor Knox. You have a question? Are you on mute, Councillor Knox?
I'm moving the recommendation.
Okay, fine. But are there any other questions prior to that from any other councillors? Councillor Simpson? You're on mute as well.
Sorry, no, I'm not. Did we have a face-to-face meeting with Qantas about the issue? Or just dealing about it later on?
Kathy, did you have any further information on that? We haven't had a face-to-face meeting with this particular person.
Mm-hmm. So it's just been through a written request. Right.
Yes, and they did make a phone call and sending the yes.
Okay. Thank you. Right. Okay, so we have no other questions. So Councillor Knox is moving the recommendation. Do I have a seconder to this recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Marshall. Thank you. And I'll ask for a show of hands from councillors. All those in favour? That has been carried. Thank you. Right. Page 105, 13.2.3, the 2022-23 annual business plan and budget parameters. I will also ask to refer to Grant for some any information he would like to give the councillors. Otherwise, take this as being read. Thank you.
Yep. So sorry. So as our councillors will recall, we had a workshop in early December to talk through the early formulation of the budget and the parameters that will underlie the budget process. So as outlined at that meeting, the parameters proposed are fairly similar to last year's, just adjusted slightly. Yes, but yeah, I'll take the rest of the report as read and can answer any questions.
Any questions, councillors? Councillor Stupos?
How did you know I was trying?
Thank you.
Couple of questions, if I can, Grant. In the financial implications, you've mentioned a rate of 4%. Obviously, you've worked this model through to get us to the 26-27 year where we break even. Have you taken into account the current blowouts that we're getting with the airport, potentially the new building for us if we have to undergo massive repairs to the council building? I mean, they're big ticket items, and I'm struggling to see if 4% is going to make us break even by 26-27 financial year.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah, so we're obviously very early in the budget process at the moment. So the 4% is the rate increase that's projected by the long-term financial plan. And obviously as we come back to council and discuss the budget process, we'll have to look at how the things we have to change and adjust to meet these parameters. And some of them do actually require, give and take and offset. So, but no, the model probably doesn't include all of those large items that are possibilities at the moment, that are still, for discussion by council.
Thank you. CEO, you would like to make a comment?
Yeah, just if I can add to what Grant mentioned, there's also the requirement as per the CEO performance review for myself to come back with a report or for council's consideration in terms of how council can get back to a surplus financial position within the timeframe just referenced. So that work's currently being prepared on that, and I'd expect that will come back to council during the budget process as well to inform those decisions.
Thank you. Councillor Stupos.
Justin, will that report also include the cost savings that were predicted for the 23 financial year or the 22-23 financial year?
I'm assuming that you're referring to savings,
yep.
Salary savings as well as other cost savings. So yes, correct. It will.
No worries.
Thank you, Councillor Stupos. Any other questions from the other councillors? Okay, no. All right, thank you. So we have a recommendation there. Would someone like to move that, please? Councillor Stupos has moved that. Councillor Santuzzi has seconded that recommendation. Thank you. I'll ask councillors for a show of hands. All those in favour? Excellence carried. Thank you for that. Page 110. 13.2.4, the consideration of COVID-19 relief. In these challenging times, this is something council has considered, and obviously with the new challenges with Omicron, etc., we've reviewed this again, and obviously the recommendation is there for people in the community for support. So the recommendation is there. Would any of the staff, Justin, would you like to speak to this at all before we move it?
No, Mayor, I think it can be taken as read.
Thank you. So, Councillor Pond, you are moving this recommendation?
Yes, please.
Thank you. And Councillor Simpson, you are seconding this recommendation?
Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll ask for a show of hands from councillors. All those in favour? Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So now we get to page 115, 13.2.5 in regards to the application of certain provisions to dogs off leash. Now, what I would like to do, because this is I think there's going to be some discussion around this particular recommendation, so I'm going to ask for someone to move and second to leave on this meeting for up to 10 minutes so that we can have a bit of a chat around this before we get back to the formal voting on it. So Councillor Westerman has moved that. Thank you. Councillor Marshall has seconded that. And a show of hands, all those in favour? Thank you. Thank you, councillors. Okay, so this allows us to have an open discussion in regards to this particular recommendation, which I think is important. We did have a member of the public put in a public question time, and obviously with his concerns, and we welcome that. Thank you. So I would ask for the floor to be opened up. Any questions or discussions? Thank you, councillors. Councillors, Deputy Mayor Stone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would certainly not be able to support the recommendation as it's printed. The alternative that has been put up, I could accept more, but I would very much want to see a fresh, up-to-date report about
Just one moment. It's having a technical challenge here. Thank you. Just one moment. Thank you. Just get this sorted. Thank you. Just one moment. Okay, so thank you, Deputy Mayor. If you could just repeat your comment, thank you.
He's gone.
One sec.
it's automatic. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you. I just can't see you on the screen, Kat.
Well, you're not missing anything.
Okay, thank you.
I just can't support the original recommendation. The alternative is more in line, but I would prefer to see a very fresh, up-to-date report using current data about the issues. The information that's been provided to council quite legitimately by residents, and particularly this one in particular, seems to have ended up in the mysterious basket that nobody knows anything about. Another issue that I think we've got internally to make sure people get responses. But I would certainly call for fresh consultation and targeted to all the particular interest groups as well.
Thank you. Councillor Pond.
Yes, I was actually going to say exactly the same thing. I think the information that we've had previously is a little bit outdated, and I would definitely look forward to a more updated report for recent times.
Thank you.
My hand doesn't work.
Councillor Simpson, thank you.
My hand isn't working, nor is my screen. But I've done a fair bit of work on this, and I believe that the biggest problem we have down the beach area and the jetty is with dogs on leashes. It seems the guys who have dogs, who walk the dogs in the mornings off leash, are probably good citizens and have a problem with their dogs, whereas the dogs on leash during the day tend to be the most troublesome as far as littering goes. I'm more in favour of having the area declared from Roberts Terrace to the mangrove being unleashed, and early mornings only for off-leash dogs down the beach. My view.
Okay, thank you.
I can't turn my microphone off or my camera on.
That's okay. We're just working on that technical challenge at the moment.
Right.
That's okay. But importantly, we heard what you had to say, Councillor Simpson.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Councillor Santucci, thank you.
Yeah, just like to say that I agree with what Councillor or Deputy Mayor Stone has said. I'd like to see a whole new report, which probably does take into consideration what Councillor Simpson has said as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And any other councillors, would you can speak up while we sort out the visual technical challenge here?
I've got my hand.
Councillor Knox, thank you.
Okay. Look, I'm quite ambivalent about the issue. I think it's worth revisiting. There's a lot of misinformation circulating around about dog attacks, this, that and the other and so forth. I mean, I've even heard that regular dog attacks in the dog park, and I'm there every day and I've never ever seen one. So there you go. But I would like to see a comprehensive report which details all of the various dog attacks in Whyalla, where they've occurred, the times they've occurred, etc. And then we can make a decision based on evidence.
Okay, thank you. Any other councillors would like to make a comment?
Yes.
Councillor Marshall.
Sorry, I had to just leave the meeting then because I wasn't able to access anything, including a microphone. So I've left the meeting and rejoined the meeting, just letting you know.
That's
I
okay.
had no functionality at all then.
Thank you.
Right, so I missed some of what had been said as well.
So I can give you an update on that, Councillor Marshall. The conversation has been in regards to councillors sort of looking for further consultation and a detailed report into up-to-date statistics in regards to potential dog attacks, etc., so that we can make an informed, up-to-date decision.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. And I do think we do need to perhaps look at what other councils are doing and how successful they are. And also too, I think the area that is designated on the foreshore for dogs, having walked the dog myself down there, I don't think is satisfactory. So I think we do need to really give this a bit more consideration and have a more up-to-date report and really canvass those users.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm just going to ask a request that we please just pause the meeting just while we sort out these technical challenges that we have at the moment, just for a few minutes, if that's okay. Can I have someone move that, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconded.
Seconded.
Councillor Santuzzi seconded that. Show of hands or a comment?
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, councillors.
Yes, for me.
Thank you to members of the public. We won't be too long. Thank you. Thank you, councillors and obviously members of the public. We have fixed up most of our technical issues, but we at the moment, Councillor Stupos is only on speaker here, and that will be rectified with the screen shortly. But we are now able to continue the meeting at this point. So we're back to item 13.2.5, which is obviously in regards to the application of certain provisions to dog off leash. Now, we were at a question point still, so we've had some discussions around the need for an updated report on dog management statistics, and we also talked about some further consultation with the public because we felt that it needed to be updated in line with other councils' jurisdictions around the state. Do we have any other questions from councillors, please? Because I have heard from Councillor Knox and Councillor Marshall, and also Deputy Mayor Stone. So I would be interested to hear some comments from some of the other councillors as well. Please. Yes, Councillor Westerman.
I think it's a good idea to get an updated report. I was going to suggest a trial a new way down at the beach, but yeah, getting more updated information it'll be a good way to go.
Thank you. Councillor Pont.
Yeah, I also did agree to an updated report as well, just letting you know.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Santuzzi.
Yep. Just letting you know, I also commented earlier. I totally agree.
Yep, thank you for that update. Sorry, Councillor Santuzzi. Councillor Simpson. Oh, you're on mute, Councillor Simpson.
I think a new report would help those suggestions that I made earlier during the meeting.
Okay, thank you. So the gist of it is is that we need an updated report and that we consider some further public consultation. So the second item on the recommendation was that the council carries out further consultation process in relation to the following proposal: that dogs be permitted off leash along the full length of the Whyalla foreshore before 8 AM and after sunset each day, provided that they are under effective control at all times, which I think covers the sentiment of the councillors. So are we happy for that section of the recommendation to be put forward? And if so, can I have the councillors are comfortable with that? Councillor Simpson?
How about the other section about extending the off-lead session from Roberts Terrace to the mangroves? You've got to consider that as well.
Right, thank you. We're just wording that at the moment. Thank you. So that area is actually covered within the Whyalla foreshore area. Okay, so are you comfortable with that, Councillor Simpson?
No, because the foreshore areas between 8 AM and dusk have the on-leash, where the off-leash section is 24/7. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So that means I think Roberts Terrace to the mangrove should be 24/7 off-leash.
Right. Okay.
Subject to this investigation we're going to do too, aren't we?
Do you think the area should be extended from Roberts Terrace down to the mangroves?
Yes. Because when you look at the traffic or the usage of that section of the beach, it's very minimal during most of the day, let alone just in the peak times.
Okay, well, we'll consider that. Thank you. Councillor, Deputy Mayor Stone.
I'm just wondering, Madam Mayor, considering we've all got various views and we're now playing around with all the recommendations, should we not defer the whole matter, get a complete fresh report that can either present the past, the current, or change items regarding the other areas, and so that everything is covered now in one fresh report?
Yep. Yep. So I think what we need to look at doing, if that is the sentiment of the councillors, is that we adjourn this recommendation and ask for a report to come back with updated information and obviously consultation to the current council for consideration. Deputy Mayor Stone.
Now, I'm having trouble getting my hand down. So disregard me at the moment, please.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Simpson. You're on mute.
My hand's up to go along with your recommendation that we defer the matter. So I propose.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Now we'll give time for the obviously to get some up-to-date information, to do some consultation as well, and then bring an informed, relevant report to council, so we can make a very good decision around this particular issue. I think so. That's good. Sorry. Okay. So yeah. So we're going to move it and a seconder for this matter to be adjourned. Can I please have the mover and the seconder? Now, Councillor Simpson, you're going to move that?
Yes.
And seconder, Councillor Westerman?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. A show of hands, all those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Okay, so now I'll ask for one moment. That's fine. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that discussion, councillors. I think it's we've all been very vocal in our need for more information and to get it right. So, and obviously as other councils across the state, we need to make sure we're up to date with practices as well. So, thank you for that debate and discussion. Thank you. Okay. Page 120. Okay. 13.3.1, the Upper Spencer Gulf Regional Assessment Panel. So the recommendation is there. Would the CEO like to add any comment to this or just take it as read? Thank you, Justin.
Just happy for it to be taken as read, noting that there's two parts to the recommendation. One is to extend David Altman as the assessment manager for the Upper Spencer Gulf region, and also that Whyalla nominate as the host council for the regional assessment panel for the next 12 months.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Simpson, would you like to move that recommendation?
Right. Yes.
Thank you. And Councillor Santuzzi, would you like to second that recommendation?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, as there's no more discussions ringing around this, can I ask for a show of hands? All those in favour? Thank you. And Councillor Stupos, you're in favour? Sorry, Councillor Stupos, I'm just asking to acknowledge that you're in favour of that as well. I am. Thank you, Councillor Stupos. Can you ask someone to open the front door? Okay. Just one moment. Might be a sec. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right, now we will go to item 13.4.1, the Clean Seas update. I will ask now for Kristen Clark, Director of Infrastructure, to give us an update. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy to take the report as read, noting that Clean Seas no longer intend to use the marina for their heavy lifts. They're doing that out of Port Pirie. As a consequence of that, they're not doing the repair work around the piles for the marina, but they will continue to do the repair work for the boat ramp, and they're currently seeking approvals from the Department of Infrastructure, the EPA and Coastal Protection around the method and the materials that are going to be used. And also to note that this afternoon there was an invitation for a community briefing session that came out for the public, which is scheduled for the 7th of February. That is all. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Councillor Knox.
I'm happy to move it, but I would like to speak to it if we get a seconder.
Okay, thank you. Would someone like to second the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Santuzzi. Any other councillors would like to speak to this recommendation before we go back to Councillor Knox? No, thank you. I'm just pleased to see that they have engaged a time for some community consultation in 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, is there no other councillors?
I said I would speak to it.
Yes, I'm coming back to you. Thank you,
Right,
Councillor
okay.
Knox. Yes, so you may speak, Councillor Knox.
Okay, thank you. My only comment is this, that I wish Clean Seas would let us get ahead of the game, or at least up to date with the game, rather than hearing it from community members. I think it puts us in a bad light, and it makes it very, very difficult for us to provide any commentary.
Thank you, Councillor Knox. Okay, so is there no more discussion in regards to this recommendation? I'll ask for a show of hands. All those in favour, thank you. Thank you, that is carried. Thank you, councillors. Page 132, item 13.4.2 from City Infrastructure, additional seating on the jetty. The recommendation is there. I'll ask the Director, Kristen, if he has anything to add to this before we can take
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing extra to add. I'll take it as read and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I missed that. Deputy Mayor, did you move this recommendation?
I would be very happy to move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Simpson.
And I'm happy to second it.
Thank you. So, Councillor Marshall. Or Councillor Simpson, do you have anything you want to say to this particular second? No, thank you. Councillor Marshall, apologies. You may speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just wondering, Kristen, can you just tell me where the location of them is, like how they'll be sited on the end of the jetty? Are they back to back in underneath the sails? What's the positioning of them?
Effectively, there's six seats looking to go in, 2 facing north towards the iron ore jetty, 2 facing east where towards Port Pirie, and then 2 facing south. So effectively they will be sitting under the shade sail that is out at the end of the jetty, facing in those 3 directions.
Is that like in a triangular pattern? That sounded like 3 sides.
Yeah, so it's 3 sides of a rectangle, but no seats facing back towards the beginning of the jetty.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, yep. No, that sounds fine. All looking out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marshall. Any other councillors that haven't spoken would like to ask any questions or make a comment? Go to the vote. Okay, thank you. We have a mover and a second there. I'll ask for a show of hands, all those in favour. Thank you, councillors, that's carried. I think they'll be very welcomed by the community, and we've had lots of requests from them to have more seating there, so this will be welcomed, I have no doubt. Thank you. Thank you. Right, we go to item 14.1. Page 137, it's my list of engagements. Recommendation is there. Councillor Stone, are you, Deputy Mayor, apologies, are you moving the recommendation? Are you on mute, Deputy Mayor?
All right, so moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And Councillor Knox, are you seconding?
Seconded.
Thank you. Thank you there. Councillor Knox? Oh, you're right. Okay, thank you. Thank you then. All right, we'll ask for a show of hands. All those in favour? Thank you, that report is carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, so thank you. We go to notices of motion. There are nil. Questions on notice? There are nil. Questions without notice? There are nil. Motions without notice? There are nil. Questions without notice? Yeah. And there's obviously no motions without notice, and we go into considerations of confidential items. There are none this evening. So in saying that, I can now declare that the meeting is closed at 6:44 p.m. Thank you.